As I look at example 1 here, okay, I have 3 problems here. This is kind of a review over 2-step equations, okay? And we're gonna go through a couple and I'm gonna let you do the last one on your own here, okay? So what I always do is I tend to always draw like a line down my equal sign, because if I'm gonna add or subtract something, if I'm gonna go over that bridge, that equal sign, you always have to do its opposite. So if you see addition, you have to subtract. If you see multiplication, you have to divide, okay? We don't do it on the same side. It always has to be on the opposite sides, okay? So as I look at this, I'm gonna leave the 2y alone, and I have to move that constant first. So since I have a plus 9, the opposite of a positive 9 would be a negative 9, so I'm gonna subtract 9. And we always wanna make sure, okay, I'm gonna keep that 2y there, and I'm gonna go to the side here since I have no room, okay? Is a positive 9 minus 9 0? Is a positive 9 minus 9 0? Yes, it is, right? That's okay, write my equal sign. And then what's a negative 9 or negative 10 and a negative 9? They're both negative, so we're going to add them, and what do we get? Negative 19, good. All right, now we got to get rid of that 2, and that 2y represents 2 times y. So how do I get rid of multiplication? We divide it, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Now, when I take 2 divided by 2, what do we get? What's 2 divided by 2? 1. So we have 1y, or just y, equals, and now can I divide negative 19 by 2? No, so we're going to leave it as negative 19 over 2. We are never going to put it as a decimal. We are always going to leave them as a fraction. You don't even need to turn it to a mixed number. You can leave it as improper, okay? And the reason why, because it is actually easier to check them, all right? Does say check, so make sure you do plug that in and double check your work, okay? All right, number 2 here, we're gonna leave this x over 4 alone. I'm gonna draw my little line, and we need to move that minus 6. So how do I move that minus 6 to the other side? Add 6. Okay, so my x over 4 is gonna stay. A negative 6 and a positive 6, is that 0? Negative 6 and a positive 6, is that 0? Yes. And then what's a negative 3 plus 6? 3. Okay. Now, when we see this fraction here, this x over 4, what does that represent? Division. So how would I get rid of dividing by 4? Times it by 4. So I'm going to put it as 4 over 1. And the reason why I put it by 4 over 1 on that side is because 4 over 4, they cancel out, don't they? So I have x. And then what's 3 times 4? 12. Good. And then make sure you do check your work there. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to work on number 3. Okay. So if you're at home, write on a separate sheet of paper, negative 2 plus 3v equals 9. Go ahead and work through that one. All right, so as we're solving for that 3v, we have this coefficient in front, and that coefficient is a negative. So how would we get a negative 2 to the other side? We would add 2, okay? We would add 2. So I'm gonna get a positive 3v, and double check, is a negative 2 and positive 2 0? Yes. And what's 9 plus 2? 11. All right, then 3v again represents multiplication. So how would I get rid of that 3? Divide by 3. So I'm going to have v equals, and can I divide 11 by 3? Nope. So we're going to leave it as 11 over 3. Good. Okay. So those were all our 2-step equations. Remember, you always move the constant first, and the constant is the number without the variable. And then you get rid of the coefficient by multiplication and division. Okay. All right. Now for our multi-steps here. Okay. These were our steps to do every single time, and we wrote those down in 1.12, okay? So if it's just not a coefficient and constant, we're gonna have multiple things to do, okay? The first thing, just like orders of operation, is we get rid of the parentheses, and to do that is we're always going to distribute, okay? Now, after you distribute, we're going to see, do we have any like terms? Okay, if we have like terms like 2x and 3x, or constants like 4xn, or just 4 and 5, okay? If they're on the same side, we're just going to follow what it says. So if I have like 2x plus 3x, what would we get? 5x, right? Now, if they're on different sides, okay, this is where we either add or subtract it to the other side. And we do its opposite, okay? Okay, we add or subtract to the other side, and we do its opposite. So if it's a plus 2x, we would subtract it to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, and I say sides, and the sides are your equal sides. Okay, your equal sign. All right, then we're back to our two-step. We're going to add or subtract our constant. And then we multiply and divide by our coefficient. That's an E there, if you can't tell. That's a coefficient. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and skip number 1 here, because number 1, if you look at that, this is what steps? How many steps? Just 2. Didn't we just do 3 problems? We have our coefficient, we have our constant. So I'm going to skip that for a second. Let's go to number 4 here, okay? So we have negative 12 equals 9x minus 6x plus 15, okay? So I'm going to draw my equal sign. Do we have any parentheses to remove? No, okay? Do we have like terms? Yeah, I have a 9x and I have a negative 6x. Now, when you look at 9x minus 6x, is it on the same side or different sides? Same side, so we're just gonna follow its sign. What is 9x minus 6x? 3x. So we just combine those. Equals plus 15 equals that negative 12. Now we're back to our two-step equation, aren't we? Yeah. So leaving our 3x alone, how do I take a plus 15 to the other side? I'm going to subtract it. Good. So since both of these are negative, we have a negative 12 and negative 15. Just add those. So what's a negative 12 minus 15? Negative 27 equals, bring down my 3x. Is 15 minus 15 0? Yes. All right. Now we got to get rid of this 3 here. So how would I get rid of that times 3? Divide by 3. So negative 27 divided by 3 is negative 9. 3x divided by 3 is just 1x, which is just x, right? Not 0, because 0 would actually cancel out the x. Right? So x is negative 9. Okay. How does this seem so far? Not too bad? Not bad. All right. Let's look at number 2 here. All right, I'm going to draw my equal sign. Do we have any parentheses to get rid of in number 2? Nope. Do we have like terms? Yeah, I have a 2x and a negative 10x. Once again, they're on the same side, right? So we're just going to combine them like we did, like there was no equal sign. What is negative 2x minus 10x? Well, remember, change. So that would be technically a negative 12x plus 12 equals 18. All right, so now we're back to our two-step equation. So am I going to get rid of that negative 12 or the positive 12 first? The coefficient or the constant? The constant, right? So how do I move this plus 12 to the other side? We're going to subtract it. Okay. So I'm going to get a negative 12x. Is 12 minus 12 0? Yes. This is an 18, by the way. What's 18 minus 12? 6. Good. And then how do I get rid of that negative 12x? We divide. Now, am I going to divide by a positive 12 or a negative 12? Negative, because we always want x to be a positive number, okay? So we're going to have x. Now, 6 divided by 12. Can I take 6 divided by 12? No, I could do 12 divided by 6, but because the larger number's in the denominator, that means we're going to have a fraction. So we're going to have negative 6 over 12. And can we simplify that? Yeah. And we get what? Negative a half, perfect. And there you go, okay? Yes, sir. No, I don't want decimals. Always, always, always leave it as fractions, okay? Always leave your answers as fractions, please, okay? All right, number 5. What's different about number 5 than number 2 and 4? We have parentheses. How do we remove parentheses? We distribute. So what number am I distributing? 2. So 2 times x, 2x, and 2 times a negative 1, and 2. Do I distribute it to that 3? No, because it is not inside that parenthesis. So we're going to leave it as plus 3 equals negative 8. Now, do we have like terms? Yeah, we actually do. We have this negative 2 and this positive 3. Since they're on the same side, can I just combine them? Yeah, what is negative 2 plus 3? Positive 1. Now, make sure you always follow that sign in front of it. So that was a negative 2. Okay. Now, solving for, we're at our 2-step. So we're going to leave that 2x. So how do I move that plus 1 to the other side? Subtract the 1. So I have 2x equals negative 9. And then how would I get rid of that coefficient of 2? Divide by 2. So I get x equals, and can I divide negative 9 by 2? No, so we're going to leave it as negative 9 over 2. There you go. Any questions so far? Is there any questions at home? If you want, go ahead and speak because I can't see you guys right now. All right. Now, number 3 is just like number 5, right? So what would I do first here? Distribute. And what am I distributing? The 3, right? So I'm going to take 3 times x and 3 times 1. So what is 3 times x? 3x. And 3 times 1? 3, good. Do I distribute the 3 to the 6? Nope. So we leave it as just plus 6 equals negative 9. Now, do we have any like terms? Yeah. We have a positive 3 and a positive 6. Since they're on the same side, I could just go ahead and combine them. And what is a positive 3 and a positive 6? Positive 9, good. All right. Now, solving for this x, we always leave the coefficient alone first. So how do I move that plus 9? Subtract 9. Now, this is where some people tend to mess up quite a bit. These are both negatives, aren't they? So do I subtract those or do I add them? Add. So what's a negative 9 plus a negative 9? Negative 18, good. And then how do I get rid of that 3? Divide by 3. So 3x divided by 3 is the x. And then what's negative 18 divided by 3? Negative 6, good. And there you go. All right. And then number 6 here. We're going to have to distribute how many times now? Twice. So the first one I'm distributing a 5, and the second one I'm distributing a positive 2. Good. So what's 5 times 3? 15. 5 times a negative x? Negative 5x, good. 2 times 3? 2 times 3? 6. And 2 times a negative x? Negative 2x equals 14. Okay. All right, now I'm going to draw my line here. Do we have like terms on the same side? Yeah, what do we see on the same side here? I see a 15 and a positive 6. And I see a negative 5x and a negative 2x. So since they're on the same side, we're going to just combine them like we normally do. So let's do the constants, the yellow here. 15 plus 6 is 21, good. Now what's a negative 5x and a negative 2x? They're both negative, so we're going to add them. So negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7x equals 14. All right. Now we leave the x alone, right? So that negative 7 we're going to leave. That 21 needs to move. So 21 is positive. So how do I move a positive 21? Subtract it, yeah. And we do it to the other side of the equal sign. So 21 minus 21 is 0. We have this negative 7x. Don't lose the negative. It goes down with it. And 14 minus 21, negative 7. And then how do we get rid of that coefficient of negative 7? Divide it. Good. And we divide by the negative to make sure x is positive. And what's a negative 7 divided by negative 7? Positive 1. Good. Any questions with solving multi-step so far? Now, if we look, we have 2 more problems to do. And these are your guys' absolute favorite story problems, right? Yeah. Okay. They're not too bad. We're going to break them down by sentences, okay? It's not that bad, okay? Use the table to find the number of miles x. So what are we trying to find? Miles of x. So find the number of miles x, okay? That's what we're trying to find. You will need to bike on Friday so that the mean number of miles biked per day is 5. Mean. What does mean mean? The average, right? The average. And do we know how to find the average of something? Yeah. To find the mean or the average is we're going to add up all of these numbers and divide by how many numbers we have. And how many numbers do we have here? We have 5, right? Monday through Friday. So we're going to add these numbers up. Can anyone tell me what 3.5 plus 5.5 plus 0 plus 5 is? 14. And then we still have to add x. But do we know what x is? Nope. And then divided by how many numbers do we have? We have actually 5 because we have to include x down here too, okay? Now, what do we want this mean number to be? This will equal my mean. And what is my mean number I want? I want the mean per day to be 5. Okay, is everyone okay with that? Okay. Now, because this problem's a little bit different, but because this 14 plus x is the entire fraction on top of the entire fraction, we're going to get rid of that fraction first. So how would I get rid of this dividing by 5? Multiply by 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. So the 5's cancel, and I'm left with 14 plus x equals, and what's 5 times 5? 25. Now, can we solve for x here? Yeah, how would I move a positive 14 to the other side? I would subtract it, yeah, because 14 minus 14 is 0, and I'm left with x. And then what's 25 minus 14? 11. So what does 11, it's a story problem, so what does 11 represent? The number of miles. So we need 11 miles to be biked on Friday. Now, if it was me, I probably would have maybe biked on Wednesday so I didn't have so many to do on Friday, you know. But yeah, for our average to be 5 miles a day, we'd have to bike 11 miles on Friday. Okay. All righty, let's look at the next one. Your school drama department charges $4 per person for admission. Okay, let's think about what does $4 per person mean, okay? If I sold 10 tickets, how much money did I make? $40, right? And why did we do that? Or how did you do that? You took 4 times 10, which we don't really know how many tickets we sold, did we? So I'm going to actually say X is the number of tickets, okay? So 4 times 10 got me to $40. That means I made a profit of $40, okay? Right now, we don't know the number of tickets, okay? Now, so 4X would represent as a whole our profit, right? How much money we actually make, right? If I sell 100 tickets, how much money did I make? 400, right? Okay. The club borrowed $400. So if I borrow something, what do I have to do? I have to pay it back. And if I have to pay something back, does that go towards my profit or go away from my profit? Goes away from it, right? I have to pay it back. So wouldn't that represent subtraction? Yeah. So 4 times X is my profit, but I have to pay $400 back. That means minus 400, okay? After I pay that profit back, I'm gonna get how much money I actually earn, right? So let's keep reading. After paying back my loan, the club profit was $100. So what is my final profit? $100. Now, you guys just wrote an equation. Can we solve it? Yeah, what would I do first to solve? Add 400, yep. So 4x equals 500. And then how would I get rid of that 4? Divide by 4. So x would equal, what's 500 divided by 4? If I split $5 up by quarters, how many? 125, yeah. So we need to sell, or how many tickets did we sell? 125. So if I sell 125 tickets, I will make $100 after I pay back my loan. If I sell more than 125, that means my profit of 100 is going to go up. If I sell less than 125, that means my profit is going to go down. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. All right. And then go back. Is there any questions